Welcome back guys, and today we're going to talk about the best sequel ever made. That's right, we're talking Troll 2. No, I'm not going to do that to you. Today we're going to talk about the real best sequel ever made, The Empire Strikes Back. Back in 1980, Star Wars was huge, and its sequel, The Empire Strikes Back, was hotly anticipated. There was no internet in those days, but it didn't stop people speculating, and there were a ton of rumours over what the new episode would bring. People wanted to know what it was going to be about, what were the new aliens, and what were the action sequences going to be like. So in December 1979, 6 months before the movie hit the theatres, Starlog magazine in the US did a roundup of all the rumours, stories and leaks that were doing the rounds. They even sent the article to Lucasfilm to get their opinion, and their response was surprisingly earnest. So today we're going to take a look at all these rumours and see what they got right and what they didn't. But before we get started, remember to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate the support. Now let's dive into the rumour roundup for Empire Strikes Back. So the article's called Stalking the Empire Strikes Back with Ear and Typewriter. It was written by David Houston. He writes that he's set down for our edification and confusion the rampant and not so rampant, consistent and inconsistent rumours about the content and characters of The Empire Strikes Back. We presented this compilation to an official in the Lucasfilm office. He read it. His assessment and comments conclude this article. Take Obi-Wan Kenobi for instance. Did he die or merely vanish in Star Wars? A good many people claim to be sure that Alec Guinness will appear in Empire as Obi-Wan. They say variously that only his disembodied voice will be there. He will appear in flashbacks. He appears as an ephemeral shape that one can see faintly through. He dies yet again and reappears in an even more transparent form. The idea of a disembodied voice appearing shouldn't be a surprise. We did hear him at the end of Star Wars talking to Luke.
Luke.
But we did see a ghostly appearance of Obi-Wan in Empire, so this rumour is true. So many people believe it that it may well be true that the hinted at romantic triangle of Luke, Leia and Han becomes a serious issue in Empire Strikes Back, and that it is resolved once and for all. They say that Leia chooses Han Solo, Leia chooses Luke Skywalker, or Leia runs off with Chewbacca. Now we all know how that pans out. There is a bit of a love triangle with Leia kissing Luke, which is a creative decision that becomes controversial come the next movie, but the triangle aspect isn't really exploited in the film. Leia clearly chooses Han Solo.
I love you.
I know.
The most disquieting rumour, which was reported in People magazine, is that Han Solo was killed in action, leaving the field clear for Luke. But then we've also heard that Mark Hamill doesn't want to be in Star Wars 3, and so Luke gets killed, or that both Luke and Han die and the saga continues with either the princess or one of the new characters in the lead. This rumour clearly relates to Harrison Ford's uncertainty around continuing with the series. Ford had already been a contract player for Universal and had little work, and was always reluctant to sign on for future films that may not happen. Freezing Han was a way of parking the character without killing him should he want to return for future episodes. The Millennium Falcon was constructed full size for Empire. It weighs 40 tonnes, stands 16 feet high, and its mandible stretches to 80 feet in length. Rumour has it that the gigantic ship lifts off under its own power, although outer space shots will still use miniatures of the spaceship. Now this rumour is clearly false. There's no way they would be able to make that ship lift. There have been behind the scenes shots of X-Wings and snowspeeders lifting as if they're taking off. However, that was achieved with the power assisted lift of a forklift truck. It seems there are more rumours involving Han Solo than any other characters. Someone who claims to have read the final synopsis reports this. While on the ice planet Hoth, our intrepid rebels are attacked by stormtroopers. Although the rebels defeat the troopers, the representatives of the Empire knock Chewbacca unconscious and take him away as their prisoner. Although Leia insists that Chewie's rescue must wait, the other rebel business must take precedence over the attempt. Han defies the orders and takes off in the Falcon to rescue his friend and co-pilot. Someone else who claims to have read the same final synopsis says no, that it's Han Solo who is taken prisoner and not Chewbacca. Clearly we know Han Solo and Chewie escaped from Hoth, but Han is taken prisoner in Cloud City. The article continues. Near the climax, Han Solo crosses lightsabers with Darth Vader. Although Han doesn't really know how to use the weapon, he's doing fairly well when suddenly the light beams are fused together and Han's and Vader's life forces are intermingled. Luke has a chance to come to the rescue, but if he kills Vader, might he not kill his friend too? Clearly this is one of the more wilder rumours that just didn't happen. We did see Han wield a lightsaber as he cut the Tauntaun open to save Luke's life, but the closest he got to fighting Vader was shooting at him in Bespin. One of the new characters in Empire is reportedly a rogue named Lando Calrissian. It is said in various circles that he's a good guy and that he's a bad guy. One intriguing rumour has it that Calrissian is an old friend of Han Solo and in fact is the man who sold Han the Millennium Falcon. Even if that's true, it's as likely he's a villain as a hero, considering the ethical fences Han has been known to straddle. That rumour's spot on. Another of the new characters has an evil-smelling name of Boba Fett. They say he'll rival Darth Vader for sheer terrorism. Apparently he's a remnant of the old Imperial shock troopers who once made the stormtroopers look like school crossing guards. Then others say, no, he was never a shock trooper. He has merely adopted their uniform as a symbol of his nefarious purpose. That Boba Fett was designed to be a shock trooper is true. There was early documentation that mentioned this in early Art of Star Wars books, and it was later that the Mandalorian concept was added to the character. The article goes on to say Boba Fett wears Wookiee scalps on his shoulder, or alternatively dangling from his belt. The most interesting speculation about Boba Fett is that he's a bounty hunter who will work for whichever side pays him the most, and he plays both sides when he can get away with it. And here's a rumour within a rumour. Boba Fett will be played by one actor and his voice will be overdubbed by another, and even those in Lucasfilm do not know who will be dubbing the voice. That was the method used with Darth Vader, of course. What the article is suggesting here is that another big name actor will be used to voice Boba Fett. There was always an expectation that Boba Fett would have a large role within Empire. He has a very significant role, however he doesn't have much screen time, but he had a large impact and quickly became a fan favourite. Word has gotten around that the Emperor will make an appearance in The Empire Strikes Back. Equally persistent are the rumours he will be played by Orson Welles and by Christopher Lee. One of the special effects people told us he knew for sure that neither the Emperor nor Ben Kenobi would be in the picture, but those fellows at the effects plants are cagey and are no more to be trusted on such matters than anyone else. Well, this special effects person is not to be trusted because both the Emperor and Ben Kenobi appeared in the movie and both appeared using special effects. The Emperor appeared as a hologram and Ben Kenobi was a transparent Force ghost. Returning to the article, occasionally one hears a little discontent over the ending of Star Wars. Some feel that it would have been more satisfying if we'd seen a direct confrontation between Luke and the man who killed his father, Darth Vader. Perhaps it's just wishful thinking in operation, but it's strongly believed that Empire concludes with a fierce lightsaber duel between Luke and Vader. Of course, we know that happened. Anyone who felt discontent with the ending of Star Wars would have been satisfied with Empire because we did see that duel. And more than once we've heard that it turns out Vader is really Luke's father. Of course, we've also heard from reliable sources that Ben Kenobi is really Luke's father, and from still other sources that Ben killed Luke's father. These reliable sources turned out to be very unreliable, as everyone knows the true parentage of Luke Skywalker. It has also been reported that in Empire we learn considerably more about most of the continuing characters, including why Darth Vader wears that mask. We've also heard that in one scene we see Vader without the mask. Chewbacca, C-3PO and R2-D2 have larger roles in Empire than they had in Star Wars, it is said. Admittedly, the next story doesn't sound too likely, but according to one report, Luke and C-3PO are captured by a horrendous alien, stop-motion animated the story goes, who dumps them into a tank-like prison filled with a breathable liquid. I think this rumour refers to the Wampa attack. C-3PO isn't involved, but Luke is captured by the Wampa, and to treat the wounds he sustains in the attack, he's put into a Bacta tank full of liquid. The article continues, the only way the alien can be killed, Shades of Dracula, is to drive a metal stake through his heart. The only metal around, unfortunately, is C-3PO, and Luke melts down the droid to fabricate the weapon. The idea of using C-3PO as a metal stake is crazy, and I don't see Luke melting down his friend to use as a weapon. Returning to the article, apparently it is true that stop-motion animation will be used much more extensively in Empire than it was in Star Wars, where it was used for the holographic creatures in the chest like Let the Wookiee Win game. Phil Tippett and John Berg are reportedly the animators in charge. Empire did have a considerable amount of stop-motion animation. It was used to realise the Tauntauns and the incredible Imperial Walker attack. Finally, here is a grab bag of miscellaneous rumours, some absurd, some logical, and none can be confirmed or denied. The Millennium Falcon falls into a black hole with Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie and Darth Vader aboard and travels through time. On a jungle planet where Luke and Han are seeking allies against the Empire, the two enlist a race of winged aliens called the Quarrels. There are creatures called the Quarrels, but they are a dolphin-like aquatic mammal. The rebels visit 3 different planets in Empire, and there are 3 different races of intelligent creatures on each one. Conversely, the rebels visit 3 different planets, but none have indigenous sentient life. Princess Leia is captured by stormtroopers and delivered to Darth Vader, who, by use of the Force, seduces her into betraying Luke and Han. And my favourite, the special effects team at Industrial Light and Magic near San Francisco have been working on an experimental process that uses holography and makes it possible for an image of the Millennium Falcon to fly off the screen and up the projection beam. How awesome would it have been to see our favourite Corellian freighter fly around the theatre? In their travels, Luke, Leia and Han encounter a female villain, a sort of Queen of Outer Space who will not be played by Zsa Zsa Gabor. That comment suggests there was a rumour that she would be played by Zsa Zsa Gabor. Relating vaguely to the black hole rumour, it is said that Han Solo and Chewie land on a desert planet where they meet time travellers from Earth's 13th century who are trying to fight off stormtroopers with catapults and crossbows. Through the use of the Force, Luke persuades Darth Vader of the error of his ways and convinces him to enlist with the rebels against the Empire. That's an interesting rumour because that plays out in Return of the Jedi, so clearly discussions on what would happen in Empire included what would happen to the characters further down the line, and it would be 3 years later we would see Luke try to persuade Darth Vader to defy the Emperor. It's a good 6 months before The Empire Strikes Back reaches the movie theatres of the world, and it's safe to assume the preceding batch of rumours is only the beginning. Star Wars captured the imagination of millions instantly, as no other film in history has been able to do, and it seems almost unfair that so many of us have had to wait so long to be once again immersed in, or hurled into, that romantic and exciting world. We can't just twiddle our mental thumbs, and speculation and rumour mongering seem better than nothing. So that's David's article rounding up all the rumours. Like I say, there's a lot of items that are close but not quite right, and I'm surprised at the hit rate. There's quite a lot that's accurate to what happens in the movie, but many of the details are wrong. The author of the article sent this list off to Lucasfilm, and the last section of his article features Lucasfilm's response. We asked Craig Miller, a member of the publicity department at Lucasfilm, to look over the above and to let us know how we did as researchers. Well, Craig, what's our score? Craig writes, that's as interesting a bit of rumour mongering as I've seen in quite some time. Seriously though, you've done pretty well, better than I hoped you could do. Of course, a fair percentage of the rumours you list are inaccurate, but there are 4 or 5 that are accurate. Which ones they are will have to be left as an exercise for your readers, or at least until 21st of May 1980. Well, you came across a few rumours I hadn't heard before. A Queen of Outer Space? There are a few your researchers missed. Craig then goes on to suggest some rumours. How about Luke convinces Han to accept the teaching of the Jedi, initiates him into the ways of the Force, and from that point on they grow and learn together? Or the Millennium Falcon passes through a time warp, and Luke, Han, Chewbacca end up fighting in the Clone Wars side by side with Luke's father and Obi-Wan Kenobi. One fan magazine reported that the Empire had invented a spy satellite that they used to seek out rebel bases, while another reported that the rebellion was using them to eavesdrop on Imperial communications. So while Craig is offering more rumours that seem wild, that last one about the Empire inventing a spy satellite to seek out rebel bases is actually true. If you go back to the opening scenes of The Empire Strikes Back, you see the Empire seeding the galaxy with probe droids as they try to hunt the rebel base. So inadvertently, Craig has actually given away a key plot point, the opening sequence of the movie. Whether he meant to do this or not, and whether he kept his job after writing that, I don't know. He continues, one columnist for a Hollywood trade paper reported that rock star Mick Jagger would be doing the score for The Empire Strikes Back, while another announced that Steven Spielberg would be directing the 3rd film in the Star Wars saga. I think my current favourite concerns Princess Leia's father. Of royal heritage, he's the nephew of the Emperor, and rather than leading the rebellion, he's actually a double agent. Forewarned of the Death Star's attack on Alderaan, he escaped and now sits in the Emperor's court advising him. Of course, as with your sets of rumours, I can't tell you which of these are accurate. I'm afraid you'll just have to wait, but don't worry, it will be worth the wait. So Lucasfilm's response is interesting. It's great they took the time to engage with the fans. Back then they understood the importance of getting Starlog on side. They were talking to the core audience, and these were the people who stuck with them through the lean times between movies. I was surprised that Lucasfilm suggested something that was actually in the movie, and though this came from the publicity department, George Lucas was always secretive about the workings of the movie, so it's likely they didn't know the full story of Empire and were perhaps unaware of the accuracy of this particular rumour. I can't imagine the publicity department released the rumour on purpose, so it's further evidence they knew little about the content of the movie. So there we have it. All in all, the rumours are pretty close. Sure, they've got some details that are wrong and some that don't make sense, There's a high proportion of accuracy in there, some details that are correct from a certain point of view. I put this down to Star Wars being a new franchise. These days the average cinema goer is well versed in sci-fi tropes. They know what droids and asteroids are. But back in the late 1970s, many didn't. A lot of the Star Wars crew were journeyman British filmmakers, cameramen and lighting engineers more used to working on period dramas than sci-fi. Any leaks that come from them are prone to be misinterpreted because they simply don't understand what the film was doing. I wonder how much of this people believed at the time, given that they only had the original movie and the holiday special to gauge what the Star Wars universe was about. The biggest spoiler given away is obviously that Vader is in fact Luke's father, but I wonder how many fans wanted Ben Kenobi to be Luke's father, and were they disappointed when Vader finally revealed the truth? Disappointed fans must have been few and far between. So what do you think? Are there any rumours that were missed? Any of those wild rumours you wish you'd actually seen? Leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please smash the like button, comment, share and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate the support and I'll see you next time.